Good evening. I wanted to get on here and do a quick update for you, kind of talk about strategy, kind of where we're at, give you guys kind of a big picture of all the happenings. And there's quite a bit. And so got some good news, I got some bad news, and I'd like to talk about it. So let me get my stream shared and we'll go from there. So and I appreciate you guys, all your support through all this has been amazing. And so I'm gonna try to break it down as best I can, and we'll go from there. So I hope you guys had a good day, and we'll get this thing shared, and then we'll get going. So thank you guys for tuning in, and so you guys can hear this. Please let me know. I see some comments. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on my words and get my words out before I kind of start going into this, just because I thought long and hard about what I wanted to say. And just because, some of this stuff is good, some of it's bad. Obviously, I have my own personal feelings on this. I've spoken to a lot of people that I respect, and so what I wanted to do is kind of give you kind of the options. And I know I've kind of been the de facto leader here, and so I know what I want to do in my heart, but what I want to do in my heart might not be right for Oregon, right? So that's where I've got to, humble myself and understand it's not about me, it's about you guys, everybody that's in this together. And so that's why I think it's important that I choose my words carefully, and I just kind of lay it all out there for you guys. And so, as we all know, we've got work sessions scheduled tomorrow, 8 a.m. Hearing room C. It's going to go in the rules committee. This is going to be the work session for a dash A9 amendment. And so, what this amendment does is basically guts out everything that's we've already been fighting for the past month, and replaces it with an effective date of January 1st, 2028. And so, if I was looking good news, I think that would be the good news here, is the fact that we played a good game, we fought a good fight, and so the good news out of this is we get a somewhat of a reprieve, right? So, basically, you know, there was an effective date because of Senate Bill 243 that measure 114 or 243 was supposed to go into effect on March 15th of this year, right? So just literally a couple weeks, okay? And so, through everything that we were able to accomplish this session, we were able to get something that would, basically give us more time to be able to maneuver. And so, what it would do is it would bump everything out to January of 2028. And so, that's, I think that's the good news, right? And some of the good news, there's some other good news that I want to focus on. And I think, I fought really, really hard to, kill this thing outright, because I wanted to send a message that we're here, we're part of this fight. We fought a good game, and I wanted it to die, right? And that's what I was hoping, and I was praying, like every day I would pray, like, hey, I get this call saying that it's gone away. We don't have to worry about it. We can breathe. And that's what I was hoping for. And in reality, that might not happen. And so that, like, it's a big punch in the gut. But I think it's important to note that we did some tremendous things together, and so without your help and your support here, we would got stuck with $150 a permit to purchase fee. We would have got stuck with the FBI knowing, having our fingerprints and having access to that. There would be a carve out for law enforcement. Obviously, we love and support law enforcement, but the fact that it creates a separate class of people. Um, if we weren't part of this fight, it would have had to been challenged in Marion County. So these are all the bad things that went away because of this amendment. And so, in that regard, we were very successful, and that's where we should hold our heads high, knowing that this thing's still active. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen Thursday, Friday, Monday. There's still time in the game here. So I want to talk big picture with you. Okay, so big picture is the fact, I'm a gambler, right? So I took a gamble. Every move that I made, obviously there was risk. It was a calculated risk. I bet on myself and the information that I had, and I was able to, bluff them into, all of these articles that really destroyed Crop's career. Got him removed from 2 committees, and so in that regard, I love this gamble that it paid, right? So the gamble for us here would be if we put pressure for Senate Republicans, and this is where I'm talking out loud with you guys, so you guys can kind of understand what's going on inside of my head. Is there's a gamble. So the gamble that we would take is we reach out to the Senate Republicans, see if they would walk out on our behalf to kill this thing outright. Okay. Which would feel really good in the moment. Okay. So it would feel tremendous in the moment to get that victory. Right. The problem is if we did kill this thing outright, we would have no protection. So let's say hypothetically, if Measure 114 was ruled constitutional at the Oregon Supreme Court, we'd have no protection there. So basically, what would happen is they would make a ruling. It could be September, November when this ruling comes out. The legislature is not in session at that point, and what could happen is that they could set 30 days that Measure 114 would go into effect. There's no way for us to really prevent all the gun sales in the state of Oregon from coming to a screeching halt. So this is part of that gamble, right? So the gamble would be say, okay, let's bet on ourselves, let's bet on black, and let's push all those chips to the middle, and let's kill this thing tomorrow or the next day, right? Let's run out the clock on them. This thing dies, which is it would be a huge celebration for all of us. But what it could do is if Measure 114 is ruled constitutional at the Oregon State Supreme Court, there'd be no lifeline for us. There'd be no safety net for us. And as much as as a person, I want to stick that dagger. I want to win. I want to be decisive here. Not divisive, decisive. That's what I want to do. But I also have to look at all my friends and my family, my neighbors, my friends that are FFLs. Like the gamble here could be something that could cost them their businesses, their livelihoods. And so I feel in this regard, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this guy right here's got to go. I'm not gonna. I don't appreciate his comments. He's always here, and he's always just says the most inappropriate things, and so you're gone. So thanks for nothing. And I'm done with the chit chat and the stuff that doesn't make sense. So I apologize for that. So back on task. Okay. So the lifeline would go away, right? So we gamble. We could get snake eyes and things would work out just the way we need them to go the way we believe they should go, but the alternative could be catastrophic. Okay, so that's where all of me says to go all in, but then the other side, the reasonable side, the practical side, the logical side of me says the best thing we could do is the -A9 amendment. And what this does is it punts this thing out to 2028. Okay. So that's the safe bet. And I struggle with that. And maybe I'll put a poll out in the group, say, hey, what do we do? How do you feel about this? And so I think the most important thing is to know, what could happen. Like, is this going to go in our favor? I mean, we don't know. And so, that's where, and I feel that if we go all in, and we push and we say we need you to walk out, we need you to do whatever you can to stop this bill. That might be a good move for us, but it might win the skirmish, but it could cost us the war. And so that's where we should be mindful of all of this. Okay, so with the amendment, that -8A9 amendment, basically all it does, I mean, one thing I didn't like, and I called them on it already, is the fact there's still the emergency clause in there. Okay, so I don't like that aspect of it. I believe that has to do with our magazines, but the rest of it goes out to 2028, and so that would be the safe bet. That would give us time to work and maneuver. Some of the conversations I had today, we talked about like helping amend it and all these other things. And one of my common you know, comments in those situations is these people haven't wanted to work with us for years, right? They've had years to ask for our input and how we would modify it to make it workable for Oregon gun owners, and they've never asked. And so we've always been dictated to. So that's something that another thing that I really it puts me in a spot where I want to push back and say, no, this thing ends today, right? And I don't know what the right answer is, to be honest with you. I just want to let you know we have a work session tomorrow, 8 a.m., hearing room C. We don't have the numbers. So this thing most likely will, get out of committee tomorrow with the amendment. That's if they accept the amendment. And I think so. Let's, those are kind of the worst case scenarios here. So let's start talking about the good. Okay. So there is good from this. Okay. The good part of this amendment is the fact that every part of any inkling of any mention of crop is gone. Okay. So everything that he tried is done away with. It's like it never happened. It's like a blip on the radar. And so in that regard, it's a huge victory for us because the fact that, it was so unpopular. He did it on his own. He got checked really, really hard by all of us, right? And then, this was his signature piece of legislation. And it cost him both of his committees. It could cost him his reelection. Like it was a huge thing for him, right? And so the fact that all of that, there's no mention of him, there's no language associated with him. Um, all of his garbage parts that he put in there are all gone. And so that in that regard, this is a huge victory, right? And this is a huge victory for us because the fact that we were able to work together, we were able to be engaged with this, and we were able to, get the fee still at $65, which is they can't afford it. So that's gonna be another problem for them. The fact that all of these things that were going to be part of 4145 are gone, and now only thing that we have left is an effective date of 2028. I mean, it's a huge thing for us. And so in that regard, I feel that we are definitely victorious, and that's what we will celebrate is going forward, no matter what happens. If we decide to try to press our luck, which is probably not a good idea, we can take that honor knowing the work that we did make a difference, because if we didn't do this work, we would have been stuck with House Bill 4145 as it was written. And so that's where our feather in our cap is the fact that it's just January of 2028 is the only thing that sticks. All the other 33 pages are gone. And so in that regard, we played a good game, and we fought a good fight. We learned a lot. We worked together. We were united, and we did something pretty truly amazing. And so we will celebrate that when this is all done and we can actually breathe. But it's a hard pill to swallow right now because we were so close to the finish line. And all I wanted to do was get on here one time when it was all said and done and just celebrate that we killed it. We did it. It's like, and that's the thing too, is I want to send a message to these people because and I was doing the research. I was preparing for, what I would say to you guys is Oregon hasn't not passed an anti-gun piece of legislation since 1995. So it's been 31 years, 31 years. And this one would have been one for the history books, right? And it still is. It still is. I mean, the fact that we got everything cut out is huge, and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We're putting our trust in others, and we're hoping that, and we got our fingers crossed that it's going to go the way we need it to go. And I don't know. He kind of went silent on me because of some feelings that I have towards this whole situation. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I'm going to be in the room. I'll be there at 8, before 8. And so we're going to go after that, and we're going to obviously hold our heads high no matter what happens, accept our fate, because that's what we do. I think that's the one sad part about all of this is no matter what happens, it's not going to fix gun violence. It's going to be an annoyance. It's going to be an inconvenience. It's going to be they're not even focusing on the right people, and that's part of the problem that I have up there is when I'm talking to these people, I just want to shake them. Are you paying attention? Me, are not the ones committing these gun crimes, and we should not be penalized for that, and we should not be held to a higher standard than actual criminals because they're the ones committing these gun crimes. And so I think as we keep going, it's going to be more and more important that we work together on this stuff. And I feel that we're in a good spot and we can do that. But this one hurts. So just know that we do have the amendment. Everybody's like talking like it's a great thing. I feel sick. And I'm a little too close to it. That's why I feel sick. But all I want to do is win. But also, obviously, I don't want to win so bad that it would impact my neighbors and my friends that are FFLs if this thing doesn't go the way we need it to go. So, that's where, I see this is something that's bigger than myself. And so I've got to suck it up and deal with it. Obviously get better, figure out my next move and how we continue to do what we're doing at the level we're doing and get better. I mean, this was a huge, like, I mean, you think about it, the people that have been following me along for this stuff for the past couple years, 3 years or so, it's night and day compared to where I started, and so we're all getting better. So that's where I'm at. Let me get to the comments. This one right here. Nope. You're not going to get a reprieve on your reset triggers until we file lawsuits. So that's kind of where we're at. And some of the stuff I'm not going to weigh into just because like it's really easy to get defeated in this moment, right? So I think the true statement about our characters, how we rise from this situation, how we unite, how we get better, and it's really easy to get defeated in the comments and feel that like this is like a losing battle that we'll never win. But we have to understand that like this was just a step it was just a chapter in the book. And so we're going to get better, and that's what we have to do. And so I think it's important that we don't take our eyes off that prize because we're getting 100%. This is a great comment right here. So this is from Daniel. Thanks for the updates. I've just prayed the Supreme Court rules appropriately. Absolutely. I think that if we do get the ruling that we need, all of this stuff would go away too. So this would be great. So I think it'd be another way for us to think about this situation is if let's say we punt it down the road to 2028, right? We accept our fate here. If the Supreme Court rules the way we need to, this thing all goes away and boom, we're back in business. So, I think there's a lot of weight, hey Patrick, and I hope you're doing good, man. And so I think, that's kind of where we're at. So, only time will tell, right? So this one right here. So, hey Alex. And so did he get in any trouble? I mean, obviously the media was not good to him. He's been chastised inside the building. He got removed officially from one. The other one is they're going to do it off the books, but he's going to be shuffled out of the House Judiciary Committee. That's what I'm being told. That's what I was assured. And so that's like a long-term win for us. That's huge, getting him gone off that committee. I mean, he is a bad dude that does not deserve that committee chair. And so the fact that we were able to get a twofer on that, I mean, that's huge. So we're gonna be taking it back to that's huge. So this one right here, this is a great question right here. So what is your take on them pushing it back to 2028? Okay, so let's look at all the issues that we have here. So the issues that they have here is they do not have the funding, right? For one, so there is a fiscal impact they attached reluctantly, okay? But what they did is they punted it to the 2027 biennium, so it wouldn't impact this year's budget because they knew they were tied up. And so I feel that they are just kicking the can down the road because they do not have the program in place. There's too many question marks, lack of staffing, lack of resources, lack of funding. I mean, this, and one thing we should all think about, this is right for another lawsuit. I mean, we're talking a class action lawsuit. So if any of this stuff, if it goes into a screeching halt and all of our rights are being denied because they don't have anything in place, you know, there's going to be more injunctions, you know. So, you know, part of me, I'm like, okay, this is great. Let's just like pop some popcorn. You know, obviously, I don't want to be in a position where the issue I have there, though, is it puts all our FFLs at risk, right? So the cash FFLs are going to be great because they're paying cash for the inventory. But anybody that's on credit and has overhead, that's going to be a challenge. And so that's the one thing where I really don't want to mess with, and I want to make sure that guys can continue to do what they're doing and support them, right? So like that's where I'm really stuck. But at the end of the day, we need good FFLs. We need them to be happy and healthy. And so it's a really complex issue. And I feel that if we kick it down the road, it's going to give us more time to maneuver. And hopefully we can go from there. 100% right here. William, great comment. We have put them on notice. We will stand together and we will push back. We will get better. We've already, like, I'm already developing new like protocols. Like if we have people that are in these hearings, we're going to have somebody in the hallway with a camera. Like we like we're not going to rely on FOIA requests to Oregon State Police because we're going to document everything. We're going to make sure that all of our boxes are checked because if I would have got better, it would just, yeah, right here, you know. So, you know, we got to keep our heads up, you know, and we're still in it. I mean, we don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, we don't know if there's enough time there for them to even pull this maneuver because, and the way this looks like it. So, let's talk about that. That's a really important part. Okay. So, so this is an amendment. This is a dash A9 amendment. Okay. So if it is adopted tomorrow, okay, then it has to go back over to the House. Actually, it's going to go to the Senate floor for the second reading, which is a day. And the third reading is another day. So that's 2 days. Okay. And then it would have to go back to the House and they would have to vote on concurrence. Okay. So they would have to approve the amendment on the House side. Okay. So that's how those things work. So let's count days. Okay. So tomorrow's Wednesday. That's one day. The way they're doing it 8 a.m. They're doing that on purpose. Okay. Because what they're going to do is they're going to vote it out of committee and they're probably going to send it to the floor tomorrow for the second reading. Okay. So that's going to be one day. Um, Thursday would be the third reading. And then Friday, if they're in session, we go over to the House for the concurrence. They're supposed to be adjourned by Sunday the 8th, you know, so there's all these different things in play. You know, I know our guys that we talked about was a minority report. Minority report would buy us 2 days. Okay. So what would happen is if we file the minority report tomorrow in that work session, it would give us 2 days. So that'd be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? And then they wouldn't have time. So, and this thing would just time out. And that's the way, from my amateur perspective, the way that it would go. And I'm hoping that that would be enough to let this thing go away. And so, you know, that's still in play, is they don't have a lot of time here. And so, you know, a minority report, which is super important, is something that would give us 2 days automatically, and they're not going to have the time to maneuver. And so this thing would time out. So, you know, that would be a one thing. And so that's the one thing that we could do. And that we've always talked about that minority report. I mean, that was my kind of the ace in the hole where we had 2 extra days. And that's just a formality that they use. Cedric Hayden and I met with him. He uses them very successfully. Typically, they're used when bills are wanted to be killed. And from what I heard from him, this was not really the bill that Robert Wagner wanted. So it's something that we should be aware of there. So, um, right here, that's a really good comment. So, Greg, yeah, thank you for that. So, like you said, 3D chess, we have to be in it for the long haul together, right? One thing I have learned throughout this session is I cannot do the work that I need to do outside of the building. Okay. The work that we did together only happens when I'm inside the building. And it's because of the communications that I get to have, the things that I get to hear behind the scenes, the things that I'm able to leverage to our advantage when it comes to messaging, like all of that stuff has to happen from inside the building. And so I think that that's kind of where I'm at is I'm gonna make a commitment to all of you guys. If you guys will stick by me, is the next session we'll have something more formal and more formidable, and we're gonna win. Like I'm like they stole this from us. You know, I think that's the one thing that makes me just I have this rage. This rage inside of me is that 4-3 because it shouldn't even been. We shouldn't be in this position, and it was dirty. And so, oh well, you got to just live and learn, I guess. But it was 4-3, and we're gonna just yeah. So I heard that. So one thing I will say, Cruff had a bill that was up today, and it got killed, and I guess he was really angry. And I was like, okay, cool, cool. So you know what it's like. So you know what it's like to lose, and so there's been a lot for that. A lot of that for him this session has been it's been fun. The memes have been fun. Like I've been having as much as it's stressful. Like I've been having fun, like making memes and making people laugh, and you know. So you know, hey Brian, I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing good, man. And thank you, thanks for being here. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, man. I put it all out there. We fought a good fight, fought, you know, everything's optics up there. So obviously they stripped everything away from Croft because they were concerned about the optics. Nobody wants this to die in their committee. The Senate president doesn't want this to die in his watch. And so, there's a lot of things that could work out in our favor. I mean, we don't know. They might know that it's dead and on life support and just be doing it just to kind of go through the motions because you saw ceasefire came out and like, and that's what's so dumb about this lady is she didn't realize by not reading the text that, the Charleston loophole where the FFL can do the transfer after 3 business days. That's still in the bill until 2028. So she comes out and does a celebratory toast and post saying that this is the greatest thing for Oregonians, that she doesn't realize that the one thing that she's been fighting for 5 years is still in the bill till 2028. I mean, that's like, so you sit there and just kind of like, okay, these are not serious people. So that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, 100% June. And I like the stuff that you've been doing, so keep that up, okay? So keep that fuel and keep that pressure up, It'll all work out. The minority report is we can use this in other parts of Oregon politics. This is pretty common. And so you laugh. I'm gonna write a bill. Did we get machine guns back? LOL. Okay. um, I'm gonna write a bill. I'm gonna write a bill, and it's probably not gonna go anywhere, but I'm going to write a bill next session saying that we need to legalize machine gun uses, ownership. We need to increase machine gun ownership or something along those lines, just to throw them like, what is this guy even doing? But I want them to kind of see, truly where I want to go. So I wish we would get legalized machine guns, maybe one day. So yes, Paul, you're 100% correct. Um, Funny story. He's no longer married. I'll tell that offline. If you know, you know. So that's kind of where I'm at. And so yeah, so that's that's kind of where we're going right here, Bryson, is we want to put we're trying to figure that out, what that looks like. So if we want measure 114 to work the way we need it to work, we need to write it, right? So it's part of Oregon revised statute, whether we like it or not. So we have to implement the changes that we want to say fit. And so part of it is there should be a carve out for CHLs, right? So obviously I don't want another restriction, but if I have a CHL, that should be my permit to purchase. I've already been through the training. I'm already been background checks. It's redundant if it's not. So, we should be fixing that stuff. That's where we're going to go. And so I think that, there's a school safety bill that I want to write. I want to work on the NFA stuff is really important because, like, if the NFA is repealed, there could be issues for us with suppressors. So I want to really fix that statute. That's like a job number one, I think, for me. And then we'll just kind of see what happens there, and we just got to make sure that we just keep up this momentum, and it's gonna be hard in the off season. And so I think it's really like this is where we start planning and we start preparing, we start networking, we start, helping elect good candidates. That's going to be really, really important. So if we can volunteer to, a phone tree or do something, we should be using our time to make sure that we improve our numbers up there. I think that's going to be a really, really important thing. Also helping elect the governor, like having a new Republican governor would be huge for this stuff because that would give us a veto power. And so they would have to work with us then. And so that's where I think that's what's really important to do here is we're gonna have to take back, and that's the goal. We're gonna put them on their heels instead of us always being on the heels, and so maybe that's where we'll get some movement and some positive momentum. I think I think 2019, I wrote a Senate bill that ran in. It was one page, simple, super easy. We got a public hearing. There was like 37 anti-gun bills that year, and there was ours, right? And so on that one, we got a public hearing. I think we were. It was this, and it was 948, I believe. It was the only ones that got a public hearing that year. But it was something that was so easy to implement and would work from day one. But it was something where when that bill was up, it took all of the oxygen out of the air and in those rooms, and so they didn't know what to do. They're like, "What do I do with my hands?" And that's where it was. And so I think that I think that's the maneuver we need to do next is we need to go on the offensive. I think force reset triggers would be a good lawsuit to file just because it'd be easy for somebody to show damages there. And obviously there's states across the country that are dealing with this issue and have had it thrown out, so I think that would be one to go after. So that's something that, I want to be productive. That's all. So, and yeah, some of these people, they don't care. I mean, Crop admitted to us in our meeting that he had never been around. He didn't have guns growing up, So he grew up with John Nosler and his family from Bend, So he was around the shooting sports, and so I love this right here. 100%. And will you please ask Ceasefire Oregon that? Like, where is the precedent on banning a Gatling gun? Okay, so please ask her that. See if she can. Um, so I don't know. I'm almost done. I think I'm just out of steam. I'm tired. I'm gonna be up there tomorrow. It's probably the last day I'm gonna be up there because of just the sessions ending. So that hearing room seat starts at 8 a.m. If people can be there, it'd be awesome just to kind of show support that we're there and we're still not giving up. And so yes, 100% right here. We need to vote. This right here, this like, and with this with the vote, like I'm a non-affiliated voter, right? So I'm gonna change my voter affiliation to Republican just so I can vote in the primary. Okay, and if you're a non-affiliated voter, I really recommend you do that so you can help us choose the best candidate that's going to go on to the general that's going to fight. Kotek. I think whatever we can do to help that process, I think is going to be really, really important. And thank you Thank you for that. That was a great comment, Paul. And so I hope you're doing good. Um, Thank you, Carrie. Thanks for your talking points. I read them and I kind of ad libbed. Um, so again, I just really appreciate the people that have been part of this kind of journey with me this session. Carrie Spurgeon has been instrumental in policy and a shoulder to cry on, somebody I could bounce something off of, and I really, really appreciate that. And so I think that it's just been a good session. We've done some great things, and oh yeah, Tony blocked. So let's see. Nope, there is not. This is not correct. Okay. So there is a magazine implementation. So this is still upheld in court, and so what's going to happen if this dash A9 amendment is accepted and it goes through the process? That date of March 15th, 2026 is going to be moved to January of 2028. Okay. So once everything updates in the system, if this thing goes into effect, we should be able to get magazines into the state no problem. Okay. So don't worry about that. And so I think that's what's really important to note there is there's companies that won't ship to Oregon because of that date of March 15th, because that's all they know. And it's us that know the nuances of what these things are changing. So it's just something to think about there. And so, yeah, I just want you guys to know there's a lot of misinformation, and I try to correct it when I can. And I wish, like, the new website that we're working on, everything is going to be there. We're going to have everything that's going to be able to be tracked. It's going to be able to be updated so you guys can. This is the gospel, the Bible. That's what I'm hoping to create. And okay. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm sorry, I'm just trying to read comments. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I don't have much more for you guys unless you guys have any more questions. But I think that yes, you should run for governor. I never ever want, yeah, run for governor and we'll help you get elected. All right. If you're a good candidate, especially you want to legalize machine guns, if that's what I saw earlier. So you have my vote. So no. So will some sort of update happen to allow for force reset triggers? As of right now, until we get some kind of injunctive relief, there's going to be no changes there. So I think it's what's really, really important to note that that's we're kind of stuck with that until we can make that move. And I got to figure out what's the most productive way for us to spend our time. Like if that's a good lawsuit to file, then we should go. If there's other ones that we should target, that's kind of where all of us kind of coming together under here. And so my last thing, I can put a poll in the group, just so you guys kind of know, what could happen, right? So what could happen is if we don't like if we accept the dash A9 amendment, this is what it looks like. If we roll the dice and try to stop it, this is what it will look like. We can put out a poll so you guys can kind of vote and see where you guys feel. But just know that there is going to be consequences if things don't necessarily go our favor in Oregon Supreme Court. So that's the one thing that concerns me. So as much as I want to, fight, I think that it's important to also think about the long game. And that's where I'm trying to kind of calm down and relax. And this is a good one. IP46 petition. I get a lot of questions about this. I am not a fan. And the reason I'm not a fan is because of There's no foresight. There's no infrastructure. It's a one man wolf pack kind of show. I don't think it's good for gun owners just because if it fails or when it does fail, that's gonna tip our tactics to the other side, and then they're gonna make changes. And the reason I say that, okay, is we could look at what's happened with the original 4145 is we beat them in Harney County, and so what they did is they changed where we could actually have our review to Marion County. So they knew that Harney County was going to be a problem for them every time, and so what they're trying to do is limit where we can argue. That's in my opinion what's going to happen with this IP. I'm not I'm not going to I don't know. I'm not going to tell you not to sign it. I'm just not going to sign it. I'm not going to dedicate my time or resources to it. It's just there's and plus another thing is we do have an active case going in federal court. We also have one in the Oregon State Supreme Court, and so you're basically using all of your political capital now, and we don't know what the Oregon State Supreme Court's going to do, right? So let's say we gather all these signatures, we do all this time, we donate, and we burn up all these resources, right? And then we end up winning a court. So what happens to that IP? It just goes away, right? So I feel that if done properly, ballot initiatives are effective, but I feel in this case, I don't think it was well. I mean, I can't say it was well. I shouldn't speak for the gentleman. It's not my place, but from my perspective, I think there should have been some different planning involved. So that's how I feel. So and so that's kind of where I'm at. So but I'm not going to say don't sign the ballot initiative, because if you feel that that's going to be the right thing for you, then sign the ballot initiative. I just feel that for us, it could be more counterproductive than good. So that's, I guess the one thing I will say that I like is it gives somebody a task, right? So it gives somebody a purpose that they feel that they can do their part to help protect their two-way rights. So in that regard, I think it's successful. So that's something. Um, See, this is the thing. I can't speak for him, and so I can't speak for him. And all I know is I got an email. I called him. I got a phone call back. I just haven't been. I've been focused on this. Like this is my focus has been what we're doing right now inside the legislature, because I have an active fire going, and so that's why my focus has been on that, not an IP. And so I feel that with a little bit of foresight, some good planning, some networking, it could have been more effective, but it's a little late for me to get involved. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just babbling at this point. I'm exhausted. So that's kind of where I'm at. So this is Tony. I mean, excuse me, that's kind of my thought on this. And obviously I'm not in a position to tell people how to do things. I just feel that it would have been more effective if we were all on the same page, as opposed to us kind of splitting off and doing different things. Our focus here on YouTube and Facebook and the Facebook group has been being active in the legislature, you know, uh, you know, so that's kind of where I'm at. And the one thing about the ballot and the IP now is now we have an effective date of 2028. Like, what's it do to the IP? Like, is the IP even alive? So there's just so many different parts and facets of this thing that really are not good. So, and I appreciate that comment, Nancy, and I hope that helped you, because joining late, good. What's the good and the bad? So the good and the bad is we have an amendment, dash A9. So the good would be it punts everything out to 2028, which buys us more time. Another good thing is everything that's related to crop is gone, so that's awesome. And so that's something that is really, really important. So I think there's some really good things that we should focus on, and that's kind of where I'm at. And we're just gonna just keep our head up and just keep fighting forward. That's all we can do. So, and this one's a good question right here. So, can the ballot from 22 not be audited? You have to look at who's in charge. Toby Reed, Secretary of State. This thing shouldn't have even gone on the ballot. We had Shemaiah Fagan that just kind of, she was doing her little drug abuse thing on the side and allowed it to get on the ballot, saying that it was constitutional. And so that's, something that, we all paid for. We paid the price, and it's cost us, tons and tons of money that we'll never see back. It's like taking this money and just lighting it on fire. And so that's the unfortunate thing, and not a single life saved. And that's the real insult. So, so all right, I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna be up there at 8 tomorrow. So if anybody can show up, it's probably going to be short and quick. We'll probably go there, hear our fate, figure out if it's going to go to the Senate floor tomorrow, which most likely would for the second reading, depending on what happens with the minority report. And so that's something to think about. So, okay. Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate you. And so thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all the support. It's been a long month. So, yeah, the project fraudulent votes. Yep. So, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, June. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll talk to you guys soon, and keep your head up. We did a good thing. So, thank you. Have a good night.